Hey everybody, guess what time it is? Up, up, up. Y'all, it's time to plant garlic. I'm so excited. Today is garlic planting day. We're going to get it in the ground. But in this video, I wanted to make it to where you can come back and reference this video over and over again. So I'm going to focus on what are the top 5 questions, and I'm going to answer them when it comes to planting garlic. And so, you know, if you have never planted garlic before, this is the video for you. If you planted garlic without success, this is the video for you. And if you are a garlic veteran, then go share it with somebody else, okay? So for those that are brand new here, my name is Barbara. Let me put that on the table. My name is Barbara. I live in Tennessee. And so we are going to plant our garlic today in the month of October. And I'm excited about it because garlic is one of those things that when people say, what is the easiest thing to plant? It is garlic. It is by far garlic. Now, there's some nuances with it in terms of you got to be able to have space for a long period of time. But in terms of the easiest, it is by far the easiest crop to grow. And so in this video, I'm going to go through the 5 top questions about garlic and answer them. And this will be a great resource for you to come back to time and time again when you don't know what to do, how to do your garlic, and have all the answers here. So if you're brand new here, please say hello in the comments and let me know that you're new and where you're coming in from, what state or what country, so I can say hello and welcome you to my channel. So if you are new, we're in the back of my house, and this is where my garden first started. We have 5 raised beds back here, and we're going to be planting garlic in 3 of the 5 raised beds. Now, before this video, I've already planted 1 bed of garlic, but I decided to save the rest so I can talk to you guys about garlic. I've been doing garlic now for 4 years, and so I feel like I have a little bit of experience when it comes to planting garlic and what works well and what doesn't. So let's jump in, and then I'm going to actually show you the garlic that I'm planting and talk about the varieties that I'm planting and why, and then I will give you a visual demonstration of what it looks like to actually plant the garlic. But let's dive into the top 5 questions and let me answer them for you about garlic. So the number 1 question about garlic is, when should I plant garlic? And this is where a lot of people mess up because they hear about garlic and they hear that it's easy, but they don't check the calendar and make sure they're actually planting it at the right time. So you actually plant garlic in the fall. That's it. Not in the summer. For the things that I'm giving you, these are the ideal. So you want to plant garlic in the fall. That means somewhere between September and November. I have heard of people even planting it as late as December. Now for me, I've done the last week of September. I've done the last of October. I've done the last of November. I've done all 3 months. Ideally, I like to get mine in sooner than later. And so I'm actually planting mine now at the end of October. And I think that's when I did it last year. And I'll be able to harvest it a little bit sooner than if I wait until the end of November. But the number 1 thing is you plant garlic in the fall. Here is the reason why. Garlic goes through what we call a vernalization period. That's a whole big word that says it needs to be cold and go dormant and then it can sprout, right? It needs a period of time where it is, the temperatures are cold, and that's what allows it to start the process. And then once it gets real cold, it's going to go dormant. And then in the spring, it's going to sprout. You'll be able to pick it in the summer. So remember I said at the beginning of the video that garlic is the easiest crop to grow, but there are some nuances, meaning you got to have space and time. So that means if you only have a couple of raised beds, you probably don't want to do a whole raised bed of garlic because that bed is going to be tied up for 7 months at a minimum because garlic takes a long time. Now, in terms of when you plant garlic, people want to say, oh, I'm going to plant in the spring, I'm going to plant in the summer. And what happens is you may have some garlic, but it's not going to bulb up properly. It's not going to be big, and it's not going to go through all the stages because it needs that cold period. So when you plant it in the spring, it's not going to have that cold period. When you plant it in the summer, it's not going to have that cold period. So number 1 question is, when do you plant garlic? You plant garlic in the fall. I would say safely between September and November. Those are going to be like your bookends of the ideal time to plant garlic. Now let's talk about the second question, and let me answer that for you when it comes to planting garlic. The second question is, what type of garlic should I plant? Not necessarily the variety, but the type. So there are two different types of garlic. There are hard neck garlics and there are soft neck garlics. And it's just what it says. So the garlic is going to grow. It's going to have a neck or a long stem on it. And if it's hard neck, the stem is going to be hard. If it's soft neck, it's going to be soft. Now, when you've seen people like on YouTube and on videos where they're braiding their garlic, that is a soft neck garlic because the neck is soft, it's flexible, and so you're able to braid it. Also, soft neck garlic is what you find in the grocery store. And here's the reason why. The difference between the soft neck and the hard neck, the soft neck has a much longer storage life, which is why it's sold in grocery stores. It's going to be very rare that you're going to find a hard neck garlic. Now, remember, when you buy garlic in the grocery store, the stem is already cut off. So you're not buying the stem. You're just buying the bulb of garlic like this. So from looking at it, you're probably not going to know if it had a soft stem or a hard stem, but I'm telling you, in the grocery store, it's going to be a soft neck garlic because it stores really, really well. Now, the other difference between hard neck and soft neck is that hard neck garlic is for colder climates. Soft neck are for warmer climates. And so you want to make sure that you're growing the right variety. Now, I'm in the state of Tennessee, which is zone 7B. And technically, when you might Google it, it may say hard neck is from zones 1 to 6. I have always planted hard neck garlic, and I have had no issues whatsoever. But if I was like in Florida or Miami, like somewhere that's, much further south and much hotter, then I probably would do better with a soft neck variety. I've never tried a soft neck variety. I could probably get away with that too, but I've always done hard neck. The other difference between hard neck and soft neck is that hard neck varieties tend to be bigger. They tend to be more bold in flavor, and you have a lot more varieties to choose from. But the storage life is going to be shorter. Now, when I say shorter, I don't mean weeks, because usually I can keep my garlic for I usually harvest my garlic in June, and I am usually good for another 6 or 7 months. So it still stores, but it's not going to store as long as a soft neck. So you want to determine what variety to plant based on where you live. Again, cooler, colder climates, hard neck. For warmer climates is going to be soft neck. Okay, so that's question number 2. What type of variety or what type of garlic should you plant? The other thing when it comes to a hard neck variety that's going to be different is that a hard neck variety is going to have a scape that's going to form about a month before it's time to harvest. That is the scape that if you don't pick it, it's going to flower. And once it flowers, it's going to reduce the size of the garlic bulb. And so the garlic scapes are like a delicacy, right? If you go to any restaurant, they would love to buy garlic scapes because it still has the garlic flavor, but I can't even describe the flavor. It's just wonderful, right? And so you get the benefit of having more garlic, so to speak, or a garlic scape if you grow the hard neck variety. The soft neck variety does not grow a garlic scape. Last year, for the first time, this year, for the first time, I took my garlic scapes and I actually freeze dried it, and then I made it into a powder. When I tell you it was something wonderful, it was something wonderful. Out of all my scapes, I think I ended up with like a pint-sized jar of garlic scape powder. It did not last long enough. That stuff was gone like in a month. So I cannot wait until next year when I have more garlic scapes and I can make more garlic scape powder. You can also make garlic scape pesto. You can chop the garlic scapes and put it into dishes, anywhere you would use garlic. So that is one benefit of using a hard neck variety versus a soft neck variety. Okay, so let's move on to question number 3 when it comes to planting garlic, which is about spacing. How do you plant the garlic and what spacing should you have? So this is really important, again, to get really good bulbs of garlic, and that is you want to space your garlic about 6 inches apart within the row, and then between your rows you want to have at least 12 inches apart. Okay, so you don't want to have your garlic like every 2 inches. If you do that, you're definitely going to get more bulbs or more bulbs in the ground, but your bulbs are going to be smaller. So think about a garlic is like a tuber, root crop. It's going to be in the ground, growing in the ground. It needs space to form. So a good 6 inches, which is not a lot, It's kind of the same spacing you would do for onions, the same spacing you would do for lettuce. That's how you want to space your garlic apart. And then in between your rows, 12 inches. Okay, so question number 4 when it comes to planting garlic is this. So question number 4 is, how do I fertilize garlic, or what do I fertilize it with? Now, when it comes to garlic, I told you it is one of the easiest crops. Remember, garlic is going to grow in the ground, right? And so it's forming in the ground. So make sure that you can use a fertilizer. And again, I put something down when I first plant my garlic. I will amend the bed and I will add in organic matter like compost. I cover everything with compost. But if I wanted to do a fertilizer, I would do something that's maybe an all-purpose fertilizer, or something that has a higher number in the phosphorus category. Okay, so you can do something like that because it's going to be growing in the ground like a root or a tuber. And so it's not fussy at all. Just make sure that you have some good loose soil. Make sure that you put some type of all-purpose fertilizer down just to be on the safe side, and then put a layer of compost, and then you're going to be ready to plant your garlic. It's really just that simple. And then the very last question that I get is, okay, how do I know when my garlic is done? When do I harvest my garlic? Now, keep in mind, I said before that it has a nuance, meaning garlic, you got to have some patience with garlic. But you get rewarded that you don't have to fuss with it, okay? But garlic's going to take a good 7 months. So when I plant my garlic in the ground now in October, I will be able to harvest that usually the last week of May, first part of June. So that's a good 7 months, okay? It takes that long. So when I am planning where my garlic is going to go, when I am planting garlic, I need to know I'm not going to have access to that bed for a good 7 months, okay? You know the garlic is ready. If you're doing a hard neck variety, you're gonna see the scape that's going to form, and about a month after that, you'll be able to harvest your garlic. If you are doing a soft neck variety, you won't get a scape, but both varieties will turn brown, and they will start to kind of like flop over a little bit, and also you'll know when you planted it. Just count 7 months and you should be good to go. And also you'll start, if you like move around the dirt, you'll see that the bulb is forming and all of that. Now, one of the things to note is that when you put your garlic in the ground in the fall, you may not see anything until the spring. There have been times though when I have seen it, you know, depending on what the weather situation is and when I'm planting, I may start to see little sprouts like in November and December. Right? And then I'm like, okay, I know the garlic took, it's there. I'm going to see more in the spring. But there have been times when I didn't see anything until the spring because maybe it got too cold too fast or whatever the case may be. Don't be discouraged. Your garlic is there, it is going to come up. But by the spring, you'll start to see the garlic and it will take off. It will get longer and bigger, and you will be able to tell that it's time to harvest your garlic, especially if you have a hardneck variety. It will send up that scape, and you know about 4 weeks later, it'll be time to harvest your garlic. So y'all, those are the top 5 questions that I get all the time about garlic. Those are your answers. This is a good reference for you. Let me just tell you, if you have a space that you can dedicate to garlic, whether it is a container, one raised bed, half of a raised bed, a GREENSTALK, I've never done it in a GREENSTALK, but plenty of people have, then I highly encourage you to do garlic. Why? It is so easy. Now, why do I keep saying it's easy? Because once I plant this garlic today, I am going to water it in. I am going to mulch it. And literally, I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm not going to water it. I'm not going to do anything else to it. Period. End of discussion. It's going to do its thing on its own. Whatever natural rainfall we get is going to be just fine. I don't have to have it on drip. I don't have to come out here and water every day. I don't have to come out here and water once a week. It's going to be just fine. So it's really a plant it and forget about it crop. That's what makes it so easy. You just got to have patience and you just got to do it the right way. Okay. So that is all the tips. Now, y'all, we get to plant our garlic. So let's get our stuff ready to plant the garlic. I'm going to tell you first what kinds we're going to plant today. Okay, so let me talk about the varieties that I'm going to plant today. So y'all, I'm doing something that I've never done before. And this year, y'all, I'm planting one variety with one exception. Because I bought a new variety at the very last minute. But I started this garlic planting season with saying I'm going to plant one type of garlic. I've never done that before. Usually I have 3 or 4 different types of garlic that I've planted over the years. But I'll tell you, there's one that I keep coming back to that's my favorite. And I decided, you know what? That's all I'm planting this year. I'm not planting anything else. So the one that I love is Georgian Crystal. That is my favorite garlic. I have done quite a few other ones. I would say probably 4 to 6 other ones, and nothing compares to this one. So for me, I'm planting the exact same thing. Now, if you've never planted garlic before, I encourage you, plant the varieties, see what you like, see what you really desire to have and what is your preference, right? You don't know until you try. But for me, I just know, hey, it sounds boring, but I'm going with what I know and I'm going with what I like. Now, here's an example of a Georgian Crystal. The one reason why I like it is because it is consistent and it is big. Because I'm growing a lot of garlic, when it's time to peel the garlic, the smaller the clove, the harder it is to peel. And so I just appreciate being able to peel the garlic very, very easily. And just like this clove, you can see how big this clove is. Excuse me, this bulb is. Just how big this is, that's how they'll be when I grow it. You can see that one of the cloves is that big. You can kind of see. And so this is very easy to peel, right? I'm just popping it off. So the cloves are huge. So I got 4 cloves out of that one garlic bulb. And they're all a very nice size. So that is the one that I'm primarily doing. I bought, I think, 3 pounds of that. And so that's what's going to go in the majority of my beds. Then at the last minute, I ended up buying another one variety. And let me back up. This variety and where I always get my garlic is Mad River Garlic Growers. I have used them for the past 4 years. They have been consistent. So I got my onion supplier, which is Dixondale, and my garlic supplier, which is Mad River Garlic Growers. I've never had an issue. Everything is always great. I get it on time. It is consistent. Just wonderful. So I have no complaints. I have also bought garlic before from King Garlic when I did elephant garlic. And they were good, no issues. And so this year I bought a couple of extra bulbs from Epic Gardening. They were having a sale, and I am an affiliate for Epic Gardening. I'm not an affiliate for the other ones, but I'm an affiliate for Epic Gardening. And so I wanted to try out their garlic. So I got, I think it's German white. It's German white. It's just as big. And so we're going to try that. I got 2 bulbs of that, but the majority of it is Georgian Crystal. So when it comes to planting the garlic, it's going to come in a bulb. You're going to separate it into cloves. You're going to plant the cloves. When we talked about spacing, this is what you're planting 6 inches apart. And this clove is going to grow a bulb. That's the way it works. Now, you can save your garlic from the year before and plant your cloves. Like a lot of people will save their best and biggest ones to grow their garlic for the next year. I never do that because, y'all, I use all my garlic. I don't be growing enough to be saving, you know, I don't know, 30-something heads to plant again. You can do it. I just don't do it. Also, people have gotten garlic from the grocery store. I've never done it before, but you can go buy organic garlic from a grocery store and plant that. It's the exact same thing, but I've never done it. I've just had great success, and so I just keep doing what I know works for me. Right? Now, I have seen people who've done the organic garlic from the store. The people that I've seen, their garlic is usually not as big as mine. It's small. It could just be them. It could be what they bought. I don't know. But my philosophy is around these types of things, if it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it. So for me, I buy it and I plant it and I just buy it every year. And maybe one year I'll save some, maybe not. I traditionally have done 2 to 3 beds of it. Could I do more beds? Probably, but I don't want to allocate the space to more than 3 beds at this time. When I get maybe some more beds, maybe I will. But anyway, that's the way it goes. I keep losing my clothes here. All right, so let's go over to the bed. Let's go over to the bed and let's get this planted. So remember, I've already done 1 bed, so I saved this bed to show you guys. So I go over to the bed and I use my little rake tool just to kind of cultivate a little bit. Now this bed, that we're doing the garlic in is where we had the sweet potatoes. So if you saw the sweet potato video, you know that that soil was very, very compact. We've added a ton of compost to the bed, and that's helping to make the soil less compact, and of course, over time, it will break down. So I get all of my garlic bulbs, and the first thing that I do is I just separate them all into cloves. So that way I just have a stack of cloves at one time. I find that that's just easier for me to do it that way. And then I just start placing the cloves where they're going to go. Now I'm just estimating roughly about 6 inches. Sometimes I do 6 to 8 inches. Again, the key point is that they're not too close together in case if you want bigger bulbs. So I put all the cloves out, and in this bed, it's a 4x8 bed. I'm going to do 4 rows of garlic, and in between each row it's going to be about at least a 12-inch spacing, which is perfect. So I get all the cloves laid out, and you can see they're just laid out here, and now we're going to move on to the next step. You can see I have all the garlic spaced. Again, I just estimated 6 inches apart. If it's further apart, no biggie, because it's just going to grow bigger. And then also I did mention this, you want to make sure that you keep the wrapper on the garlic. So all I'm going to do now is press it down to make sure that it is deep in there and cover it. So I'm just going to press them down in. Now remember, this is where my sweet potato bed was. It was compacted, but we added a ton of compost to loosen the soil, and I also cultivated as well. So it's much, much, much more manageable. So I'm going to get these, and then I'm just going to cover them with soil and then water them in. Okay guys, we have all of our garlic planted. Now, shocker is, I thought I was gonna plant 3 beds of garlic, but I ended up only planting 2. I went back to my notes. Last year I ordered 3.5 pounds of garlic, and I used 3 beds. This year I bought 3 pounds of garlic plus those 2 bulbs, which those 2 bulbs is probably not a half of a pound. So for whatever reason, I only have 2 beds of garlic. So I had allocated 3, because out of the 5 beds, I was going to do 3 for garlic and 2 for onions up here, and then 2 for onions down there. So I could just keep 1 bed there and keep it and do 3 beds of onions up here. I could certainly, I could do 3 beds of onions up here. Or I could buy more garlic and plant the other beds. I'm not sure quite yet what I'm going to do. I looked on Mad River to see if they still have garlic available. They actually do still have some available. Garlic can run out pretty fast. I don't think they have the kind that I just used, so I may be forced to try another variety. So I don't know. Should I plant more garlic, or should I just save the bed for onions and wait? We'll see. Anyway, I'm not going to make the decision right now, but all of the garlic is planted. It is watered in. So the only other thing I have left to do now is to mulch it. And so I will mulch that probably in a couple of weeks, just because I don't have the time to do it today. But normally I just do it all in one fell swoop. But you definitely want to keep your beds mulched and covered to protect it through the winter. And another thing, if you're thinking, hey, will the garlic be okay when the freeze and frost come? Yes, it will. When I tell you it's the easiest thing to grow, it's the easiest thing to grow. Now, again, in Tennessee, we don't get a ton of snow at all. We get on average, I don't know, 6 to 10 inches, which is not a lot. And that's like a big deal if we get that. So it's been and those, but I've seen people who've had garlic in climates where it snows a lot. Because it's underground, right, and it's dormant, it's going to be just fine. So if you have the time and the space, definitely plant you some garlic and give it a try. How about just being able to go out to your garden next summer and pull your own and harvest your own garlic and be able to cook with it in your own kitchen? There's nothing better. So hopefully I answered all of your questions. If there's some question that I did not answer and I missed it, please put your comments and your questions down below. But I hope that this is a great resource for you as you plant your garlic for the fall. And then also let me know in the comments what variety you are planting and see if I need to add something to my repertoire. And that may help me decide on whether or not I'm going to add another bed of garlic or just keep it for onions or do something different. Who knows? If you have some suggestions, put them down below. But thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate if you would subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Remember, y'all, this is all a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.